The shed has its own things. They are selling something over here and they want the passerby to buy this thing. In the open window of the shack, the shed or the roadside stand, there is the blanket of sadness that is covered. There stands a sadness. The shed owners want people to buy something. Stop over there and buy it from them and not do charity. We don't want charity. That's not what we are asking for. Just to inquire about the prices, take a U-turn. These are the two reasons why the cars stop over there. Hello and a very warm welcome to your prep school English classes. I'm your English teacher, Kshama. In this session today, we're going to discover and understand about one of the longest poems in your syllabus or in your textbook called as The Roadside Stand by Robert Frost. Okay, so although it is the longest poem, the message that has been transferred across by this poem is very important and very in-depth. This is something that you're going to carry forward when you go out there in the world. So without wasting any time, let's understand. In this session today, we are going to understand about the author, the background, summary, the line-by-line analysis of the poem, and we're going to summarize the entire message or theme of the poem, and we're going to recap these lines or what are the things that we learned through these lines. So without wasting any time, I have a couple of questions for you as always, and so let's read them. Do you believe one can give back to the society when he can without getting lost in the rush of life? So when you are like all done with studying and everything and you start earning and everything, when you're capable of doing something, giving it back to the society which nurtured you, which conditioned you for all these years, will one be able to do it or will one get lost in the rush of life? What do you think happens and what do you think will happen to you? Okay. Then, why is the idea of helping others appreciated in all the stories? It's very overrated in case of stories, helping others. It's only celebrated in the world of stories. But when it comes to the real life, real world, it's nowhere close to reality. Helping people is nowhere close to reality. You don't see it happening much, right? Then, how do you define responsible? A responsible citizen, according to you, who is he or she and how do you define them and their roles? Okay, you keep thinking about it and let's get to know about our author, Robert Frost. Robert Frost is also like a very well-known author. You might have known him from, Fire and Ice or Dust of Snow. These are the short poetries that he has written. And let's understand in this one, what else do we get to know? Also, you might have heard of Road Not Taken by Robert Frost as well. So let's get to know about him. He's an American poet. Works were initially published in England before it was published in the United States, and he's known for the realistic depictions of rural life. Keep this in mind with regard when we are dealing with this poem. I want you to remember this one, okay? And his command of American colloquial speech, the way you speak it in the day-to-day life, that's colloquial, belongs to that region. So he was pretty much known for the rural life and his command over the American colloquial speech or language as it is spoken. Most frequently wrote about settings of rural life in New England and using them to examine complex social and philosophical themes. So this was his major theme, the rural setting in America. And he used that to, explore much more about the complex social and philosophical themes. Then moving forward, he was frequently honored during his lifetime. He's probably the only, writer who received 4 Pulitzer Awards, okay, which is one of the highest honors that is given. Frost is the only poet to receive 4 Pulitzer Prizes for poetry in particular, was awarded the Congressional Gold Medal in 1960 for his poetic works as well. On July 22, 1961, Frost was named the Poet Laureate of Vermont, okay. So the list just goes on. If you start talking about Robert Frost and his work, especially his poetry, you would love it, you would enjoy it. Go read more of Robert Frost. I would recommend that totally. Okay, let's get started with the first stanza of our poem, which is The Roadside Stand. Although this entire poem has 56 lines, which has been divided roughly around to 6 stanzas. Although you see at the end of the poem, there are words that rhyme with each other, it's very inconsistent. It is not free verse, however, there are lines that rhyme with each other, but the rhyme scheme, it's not consistent. You can't mark it and say, oh, this is A, A, B, B or A, B, A, B. It's very inconsistent. I'd want you to know that. Let's start to read it and understand it clearly, okay? The little old house was out with a little new shed, okay? In front at the edge of the road where the traffic sped. A roadside stand that too pathetically pled. It would not be fair to say for a dole of bread, but for some of the money, the cash, whose flow supports the flower of cities from sinking and withering faint. So this is the first stanza that you see. Let's understand it. The little old house. So where is the little old house? We have got to know there's one thing. The little old house, okay, was out with a little new shed. Now we are not saying that these two things or these two people. No. There was an old house once. Where was it situated? Front, okay, edge of the road where the traffic sped. I'm sure this you can picturize. So near this road, at the edge of this road, okay, if this is the road that is there where the traffic is moving, at the edge of the road, there was a little old house, and now it has an extension. There is something else that has been added onto it. And what is that? That is a new shed. There was an old house, okay, now has a new shed or an extension to it. Okay, where is it? It's in the front of edge of the road where traffic sped. Traffic keeps moving over here. Okay, so we got to know what is the setting that we are encountering. Then a roadside stand. Let's call it the roadside stand. The new shed that has been expanded in front of this house. Let's call it the roadside stand. It makes sense, right? A stand that has been built up, a shed that has been built up near the road. Then that too pathetically pled. So it is not something that is new. When I say new, it does not seem new. The owner of the shed or the house is not a well-to-do man. He is a very poor man. And the old, in front of the old house, the shed that you see over here, it seems like it is pleading very pathetically. It is asking for something. The condition that it is built, it's like an old shack. It is new, but it looks very old. It is not very, constructed in a very wonderful manner. Whatever that he or she had, out of that, this has been constructed. Okay, pathetically pled, as though pleading. It looks like it is pleading in a not so good condition. Then it would not be fair, but then it won't be fair to say that it is for a dole of bread. It is not true that the little new shed, a pathetically looking shed, is asking for charity. Is it asking for charity? No. The shed has its own things. They are selling something over here and they want the passerby to buy this thing. So there is a lot of course, they want their self-respect to be valued over here. The house is not asking for charity. When we say it looks pathetically pleading, it is not asking for charity, or it is not asking for bread or food for free. Okay, it wouldn't be fair to consider it that way, to say it is asking for dole of bread, gift, dole is gift, or just a charity of bread. No, the shed is not asking for that. Then, but for some of the money, the cash, what are we asking for? The money or the cash. In what form? Whose flow supports the flowers of cities. Now you understand the traffic that is coming from the city. These vehicles are coming from where? They are coming from the city. Now when these vehicles come over here, the poet over here is telling us that if only they buy something from the shed, then the cash that flows and flourishes in the city will also help who? Will help the people who are in the countryside. Now we know that this shed is in the countryside, and the flower of cities, the one that flourishes in the city, will not sink and wither and faint when it comes to the countryside. It usually happens so, right? So if you are buying something in the country or city side, it's usually very expensive. But if you go back to the countryside or village, wherever it is grown, it's actually very cheap. So which means they won't get to experience the money, the cash, or the economy that is building up in the city as much as that. This effect won't be here. So the one that flowers in the city, it shouldn't sink and wither and faint when it reaches the village, isn't it? If only we get to experience that, this will not happen. Hence, the shed owners want people to buy something, stop over there and buy it from them and not do charity. We don't want charity. That's not what we are asking for. Let's recap the whole thing again. Here you do see rhyming things, right? Shed, sped, pled, bread, but then it goes on changing again. So there's no consistency if you see. right? Then if you move on to the explanation, let's recap this stanza one more time. I'm going very briefly with this one, very clearly with this one, because it's a very long poem. Although it is long, the message is reiterated, and I want you to have a note of it. So the occupants have extended a shed in front of the house, old house, edge of the road, traffic is passing. That is the first thing that we understood. So it is true that the shed might seem to be pathetically pleading, okay? So it could be perceived as it is, it is looking like it is pleading for something, but it is not fair to say that it is seeking for charity or the gift of food. No, we don't want it that way. Then imploring, there it is just imploring, or it is symbolically the shed owners also, they are letting the people know that they are deprived of the resources and they want money, but not as in the form of charity. It should be business. It should be in exchange of something. So stop buy and buy. Okay. Deprived and longing for flourishing currency in the cities that fades till it reaches them, the countryside people. That shouldn't happen. Then personification and alliteration, you see, pathetically pled, the consonant sound P is repeated. So it is an example for alliteration. This shed seems to be pathetically pleading. So we are trying to personify the shed by saying that it is getting a human-like quality. It seems to be pleading us. So that's personification. Okay, clear? Next, move on to the second stanza of the poem. Let's read it and understand it in detail. Okay, the polished traffic passed with the mind ahead, or if ever aside a moment, then out of sorts at having the landscape marred with the artless paint of signs with N turned wrong and S turned wrong, offered for sale wild berries in wooden cords, or crook-necked golden squash with silver warts, or beauty rest in a beautiful mountain scene. You have the money, but if you want to be mean, why keep your money this crossly and go along? Okay, let's see. We see that so many things are incorporated in this particular stanza. Let's understand. Now, the polished traffic refers to the polished lifestyle or the people from the city. Again, it is in reference to. So we see transferred epithet. I had told you transferred epithet is nothing but when a human-like quality, or whenever you have to refer to something. For example, a quality, if it is assigned to an object for that matter. When I say polished traffic, I am trying to give the quality of these people. I am assigning it to the traffic. Traffic is related to city people, right? So this one is called as a transferred epithet. The adjective of describing these people, it has been transferred to the traffic. Okay, that's called a transferred epithet. Passed with the mind ahead. All that these city people think is ahead. What are they going to do? They are just concentrated on that one, right? So they are moving ahead. Then, if ever aside a moment, so you might be thinking, are they not concentrating? There is no chance of them concentrating or shifting their attention at least towards this shed for a moment. You might be wondering. No, even if that happens, even if they are, for example, if they are going on a trip or something, they are concentrating on where they are going and just they are thinking about all themselves. If ever they shift their attention aside, okay, for a moment, then out of sorts, out of the blue, all they would think about is having the landscape marred with artless paint. They would, out of the blue, start complaining about how the countryside people have marred or have, damaged the beauty of the landscape. With what? With the artless or tasteless paintings of what? The signs that read N. You have seen the signal signs, N, S, north, south, all these things that have been put up in the wild whenever people go. The countryside people would have put it up so that it becomes, they will know the place very well, but it is put for the country people in order to help them, right? The country people, on the other hand, what would they think? They will not concentrate on the, roadside stand or anything. They would instead complain about, how these people have, countryside people have damaged the beauty of the environment by using this tasteless paint, which is not adding any beauty to the nature. And whatever the signs that they have put up, N and S, that is also wrong. So they are concentrating only on complaining, on the contrary, right? Offered for sale. But what can the roadside stand offer you? It will offer you wild berries in wooden quarts. Wooden quarts look something like this. In these boxes, wooden boxes. But the roadside stand is not complaining. It is in turn offering you berries in wooden boxes. Okay, it might not be as fancy as it looks in the city with all the, other fancy containers. It is barely offering in wooden carts. You'll get berries. And what? Crook-necked golden squash. This is the crook-necked golden squash. Okay, but with silver warts. Silver warts are these, bumps that you see on it. It won't be that fancy. Again, whatever that you find in the malls and marts, everything is pretty shiny, clear and everything. But over here, you will get all the wild things. The wild berries in wooden quarts, and these golden squash will also not be all shiny and clear. It will have silver warts, bumps and, a little marks and everything on it. It's true that it is not fancy, but the roadside stand can offer you things, right? Then, beauty rest in beautiful mountain scene. What else can the countryside offer you? You might just go and get your beauty rest or the weekend, getaways in the beautiful mountain scene. Then you have the money, but if you want to be mean, it is true that the city people have money, but they decide to be mean. They don't want to help another person or to buy something from this roadside stand. Okay? Why keep your money this costly? Like whenever you're traveling over there, or whenever these city people are traveling over there, they complain about all these things. Forget about even, buying something from these people from the roadside stand. They keep their money this crossingly and they are very annoyed. For some reason, they're annoyed that all of this is damaging the beauty of the nature. Annoyed, they keep their money with themselves and go along. Crossly is annoyed or angry without reason, right? Let's look at it one more time and understand. Transferred epithet, polished traffic to refer to the rich city dwellers. Then repetition, the words wrong and money has been repeated twice. Later on, anaphora. What is anaphora? Repetition of the word in the consecutive, the next line, 2 lines, it has been repeated. That's called, the figure of speech is called as anaphora. Okay, moving forward, heads occupied of these city dwellers, their polished traffic. These heads are occupied with having it all or thinking about themselves and their plans, right? But that's not wrong. What is the other thing that they are doing? On the contrary, if ever got time, they spend criticizing the wrong signboards and how these people are bombing these signs. These wrong signs are put up over there, and the paint use is artless. All of these things they talk about by the countryside folks. Then come to get the beauty rest and complain that the shack mars the beauty of the nature. Instead, what are they doing? They're complaining about everything over there. Although have money, they are annoyed without any reason. They keep it and they go. Okay? That shows the insensitivity that these people are, showing towards whatever the miseries that are there around them. They think that we have nothing to do with it, and hence we are just gonna pass by. So we do hear by our elders that you buy things from people who are there, like who are selling things on roadside, sometimes not because you want it, sometimes because it is not going to do something big for them. But to a greater extent, it is going to make some difference, right? That's the reason you buy it from them, or sometimes you don't bargain with them because there is nothing great that they're getting out of it. There's no great deal that they're getting out of it. Hence, when you try to even bargain with people who are selling stuff on the roadside, who they have bare minimum stuff that they are selling, it's not fair to bargain with them as well. Okay. Then let's see the next stanza without wasting any time. The hurt to the scenery wouldn't be my complaint. The poet says that wouldn't be my complaint as far as I am concerned, so much as the trusting sorrow of what is unsaid. My problem is that, I am voicing out the fact that it's not the damage that has happened to the scenery according to the city folks. That's not my point over here. My point is that a lot of countryside people or people belonging to the villages or the rural areas, they have kept a lot of faith and trust on the people belonging to the city, okay? And hence have gotten a lot of unspoken pain. Let's understand what are these unspoken pain. So, trusting sorrow of what is unsaid, let's understand them. Here, far from the city, we make our roadside stand. Are we disturbing anybody over here? No. Far from the city, figuratively also. The city, the way it is, the progress, how it is happening, there's a huge imbalance between how the city is progressing and at the pace at which it is progressing and developing, and what has become to the countryside or the rural area over here. Are we disturbing you? No. Far, far from the city, we have set up our own shack. Okay, we are not disturbing anybody, right? Far from the city, we make our roadside stand and ask for some city money to feel in hand. By money, we are saying, let the progress and the development or the circulation of currency and economy that is happening in such a wonderful pace in the city, all that we are asking for is, again, not charity. We have set up our own roadside stand and we are selling stuff over here. Pay attention and ask for some city money to feel in our hand, to try if it will not make our being expand, only hoping that we will also be able to expand and grow. We will also be able to get the life that we deserve, right? And give us the life of the moving pictures promise. So in films and in the pictures, portraits that we take, we see an ideal world that we feel like everybody around us has been able to achieve it. Now, if we, through our roadside stand, what are we trying to achieve? We are trying to get some money. What will that money give us to expand our life? What is the ideal situation? To make it something, whatever that looks in the film or in the pictures and everything, moving pictures meaning films, it seems very ideal. We also deserve such kind of life. The promising life that comes on screen, we also want to live those. That's what the countryside people or the village people are saying. That the party in power is said to be keeping from us. Now, here's a little political satire, or the political whip the poet is using over here, and he says, although the party that has come to power, before coming to power, has made very many number of promises, but it seems like only the city people are getting, all the promises are becoming true and all of them are coming into reality from abstract promises. But over here, ours is just kept abstract. It did not convert or transform into reality ever, right? Let's look at it one more time and understand what are the things and what are the figure of speech that was there. No pain. We are not talking about the blemish that has happened or any damage that has happened to the countryside. The hurt to the scenery according to the country people, that's not the problem. That's not the real problem. Okay? Unspoken pain of the broken trust of the rural people is the problem. Let's explore that. Rural folks are far from the city, figuratively too, when compared to not just the physical distance, but figuratively in the progress and the differences that they have too. The city dwellers do their part for the countryside. Okay, it's just that they are saying the city dwellers should take up the responsibility or should do their bare minimum for the countryside as well. Okay, it's not just for this beauty sleep, you go around and come back. No, you do your part as well. Live a life void of poverty as shown in the movies. That's what we want. Political satire as well. The peasants haven't seen a ray of the promises that was kept that was told by the party in power. And you see the repetition of the word city over here in this particular stanza. Moving forward to the next stanza, let's read it and understand. Okay. It is in the news that all these pitiful kin are to be bought out and mercifully gathered in to live in villages next to the theatre and the store, where they won't have to think for themselves anymore, while greedy good doers, beneficent beasts of prey, swarm over their lives enforcing benefits that are calculated to soothe them out of their wits. And by teaching them how to sleep, they sleep all day. Destroy their sleeping at night the ancient way. Let's understand what are these lines talking about. In the news, it is most of the times we see it in the news, and it is through the news that we get to know these things. What is there in the news? It is given that these pitiful kin refers to the ones that we were talking about, the rural area or the peasants, farmers, all these people who belong to the countryside. Pitiful kin is family members or those whole lot of people, they are one whole family. These pitiful or the ones who, demand or they deserve all the attention and misery that they are in, they deserve the attention. So all of them together are pitiful kin. What do we see about them in the news? Let's understand. Bought out, mercifully gathered. Okay. Now all of them will be asked to come out together all of them will be gathered as though these people in power or whoever is asking them to come are showing mercy towards them. Then to live in villages next to the theatre and store. It is promised to them. What was the promise that was unkept? It is promised to them that all of them will be brought together. They were brought together. And what were they promised? They'll be promised that they'll live in the villages which will have better facilities like theatres, facilities like stores. And they wouldn't have to worry about them, their necessities or needs anymore. So all of these were the promises that were made to them. Then it is talking about, in news, you see news or information about relocating people who are deprived of resources. You see that all of them will be brought together, houses will be built for them, all the basic facilities such as water resources, employment opportunities, all of them will be given to them. We only see news until then, but what happens in reality, we don't know. Okay, that's what the poet is talking about over here. Then, while greedy good doers, so you see greedy good doers, over here is an example for alliteration as well, and oxymoron. There are two opposite things put together. They are greedy and they are also doing good things. So he's calling them out, isn't it? These who say that they are doing good things, they are the good doers, they are actually in reality what? They are greedy. They are beneficent beasts of prey. They are preying over these innocent people and they are getting all the benefits, and hence they are beneficent beasts. Again, another example for alliteration. Look at the beautiful effect it adds. Greedy good doers, beasts, beneficent beasts. Okay? Then, swarm over their lives enforcing benefits. Although they promise to give all these benefits, who is the one who's swarming over it, fly over all those things like a huge, swarm of insects. They cover over everything and gulp all the benefits by themselves. That are calculated. This is very, strategically planned to soothe them, to silence them, or to make them numb and dumb at the same time. You understand? Soothe them out of their wits. To silence them for the time being, show them all these things, offer them all these things, take them out of their wits, make them stop thinking about things, make them greedy about all these opportunities that you're giving them, then soothe them out of their wits. And by teaching them how to sleep, they sleep all day. Now, if you can take it two ways, okay? A, if you want to take it literally, the poet might be saying that the city people are giving a whole new idea or presenting a whole new idea of life altogether to these countryside people. They are making them, teaching them sleeping all day. Now, we don't have this culture of sleeping all day. Now, the city people are showing that they are showing or dragging them towards comfort, laziness. Now, when these countryside people are seeing at this one, they realize, oh, this is also another way, or they are totally contaminating the habits of the countryside people as well. So by teaching them all day, sleeping all day, just as they, you see in the movies and everything, you see people sleeping till 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. What do they do about their lives? We don't know, but it seems fun, lazy and comfortable, right? So destroy their sleeping at night the ancient way. So usually what do? You sleep at night. That's how it is, right? Now their sleeping habits have been destroyed. Or it could also be the case, if you want to take it another way, it can also mean that by showing them, sleep can also refer to, by showing them what are the possibilities and comforts that the city people have, by offering the countryside people the same. Now, the regular way in which the countryside people were, leading their lives, sleeping, making their own growing their own vegetables, selling it, and, getting a good sleep after a hard day of work. That was their regular way of life. But you have shown them comfort is possible, laziness is possible without doing any of these hard works. You will get it. Now, it has destroyed or disturbed their regular way of life as well. The ancient way of living their life as well. So you can take it as just sleep, or figuratively as the comfort life and the hard-working life as well. Okay? Two ways to look at it. Let's look at the whole stanza again. In the news, you see that the poor peasants are promised benefits and everything. The relocation, we are talking about benefits such as theatres, stores, everything will be provided. Convinced to relocate and never worry about anything else. But what happens in reality? Nothing of that sort comes true. So alliteration, greedy, good doers. It is also an oxymoron, and beneficent beasts. B is the consonant sound that is repeated, and here G, G. The cunningly planned promises used to benefit the apparent good doers. In turn, whom does it, all this cunning plan, whom does it benefit? The greedy good doers. Okay. Then you see the city people contaminate habits, lifestyle, everything of the countryside people. For example, sleep is just an example. Resorting to laziness, comfort and everything, they show that this is the possibility, this can happen. In turn, damaging their regular old, same old life as well. Then, while the village people are used to working hard every day and sleep at night. So, you all, in this paragraph particularly, you see the word sleep being repeated. So, that's repetition. Moving forward to your next stanza. Sometimes I feel myself, I can hardly bear the thought of so much childish longing in vain. The sadness that lurks near the open window there, that waits all day in almost open prayer. For the squeal of brakes, the sound of a stopping car, of all the 1,000 selfish cars that pass. Just one to inquire what a farmer's prices are, and one did stop, but only to plow up grass. In using the yard to back and turn around, and another to ask the way to where it was bound. Okay? Let's see over here. Sometimes the poet is, expressing his own feeling of overwhelming, and he says, sometimes I really can't bear how much these people, the countryside people, the thought of so much childish longing in vain. The countryside people are waiting and waiting and waiting, just like a little child, how a little child waits with so much innocence, although not knowing whether it is going to come, whether it is going to be helped, whether it is going to be given something or not. It waits so much, longing, waiting in vain, waiting in pain, fruitlessly, right? The sadness lurks near the open window there. In the open window of the shack, the shed or the roadside stand, there is the blanket of sadness that is covered. There stands a sadness. Here you see sadness being personified as it stays or lurks, persists. Okay? Then that waits all day in almost open prayer. They pray, they wait like kids, and there is so much sadness over there. Here the poet is trying to picturize the entire scene or scenario, or making us sympathize and empathize with these countryside people. Okay? The squeals of brakes, why are they praying? Why are they, even waiting? Just for these people, the cars to approach, the mere sound of brakes and the sound of the stopping car, it excites them. Excites them thinking of what? Maybe they might buy something. Maybe they might ask what's the price of something. But what happens in reality again? Thousands of selfish cars that pass. Cars are being called selfish, which means it's again the transferred epithets. It's the people who are selfish, and that adjective has been transferred to this cars. Cars are not selfish by themselves, are they? So it's the people that we are talking about, right? Just one to inquire what a farmer's prices are. One might be wondering, maybe the car stopped to inquire about what the prices of the farmer's products that are kept over there are. But in turn, what happens? One did stop, but only to plow up grass, to, just to lift up the grasses. The grasses get lifted up when the car is trying to take a U-turn. The field of the farmer, why is it used? In order to take the car around and take a U-turn. Using the yard to back and turn around. For that reason, and another to ask where, in order to ask where does this way go? To ask directions. That is the only time the cars came and stopped by. So, childish waiting in pain is unbearable. Ambience of sadness blanketed, and prayers all day for what? There's a transferred epithet, selfish cars, to call the city dwellers or city people, rich people, selfish. Personification, sadness lurks, or sadness stays near the window. It's not, the sadness doesn't stay, so the quality of that has been given to the sadness. Hence, that is personified, sadness personified. Just to inquire about the prices, take a U-turn. These are the two reasons why the cars stop over there, and nothing else, nothing fruitful has happened. Then to your final stanza, another to ask, could they sell it to a gallon of gas? So either to ask, do you have a gallon of gas? Can you sell us a gallon of gas? Probably to ask that, they might stop over there. Okay? They couldn't. Now, and on the part of the countryside people or the village people, the poet is frustrated. He is taking out his anger and says, annoyed or angered. He says, they had none. Don't you see? They don't have gallon of gas. That's not what they are sending. Why are you asking them that? Right? It gets him frustrated, irritated. No, in country money, the country scale of gain. However, the money that country people make or the city people make, the amount of gain that they have, right? They still talk about the requisite lift of spirit has never been found. The country people, on the other hand, how much money they are making, how much of, the scale of gain that they are making is just going up and up and up. Even then, they are not satisfied. They say the requisite or the necessity upliftment of what? The spirit. That we are not getting. Even though we are getting so much of money and everything, our spirits are not raising high. That has never been found. Raising our spirits, upliftment of spirits, that is not happening. That is what these city people are complaining about. Here, these people don't have basic necessities being fulfilled. And the city people are complaining about something else very superficial. Okay? Or so the voice of the country seems to complain. That's what they're complaining about. Or it is seeming like they're complaining about the same. The voice of the country. You see that the country is personified given the quality of the person. Hence, that is personification. And the city people seem to be complaining these things instead. Okay? I can't help owning the great relief it would be to put these people at one stroke out of their pain. The poet actually thinks about how relieving it could be. For me, it would be a matter of great pleasure if I can just do this and take all of these people who are in misery out of their pain. If only I had that, magical power, if only I could do that, I would have done it, says the poet. And then next day, as I come back into the scene, but then he thinks, okay, let me think about it rationally. Can I actually do that? No. When he comes to the poised state of mind, he realizes that I can't actually do that if you think of it that way, right? I wonder how I should like you to come to me and offer to put me gently out of my pain. He tries to put himself in the shoes of these villagers, in the shoes of these countryside people, and thinks, if only one day I am in misery and if you come my way and you tell me, let me help you, let me get you out of this misery gently, will I be able to take that help, immediate help that you're offering me? I might not be able to do that. I might be able to do that. But I like to think as to, I wonder how I should like you. How will I feel if you came to me and offer to put me gently out of my pain? How would they feel? He wants to think about that. He wants also us to think about the same thing, right? So selling gas, do you not see that they are not selling gas? What rubbish is that? Countryside yardstick of gain, which is invested in money, not found at all in the countryside, okay? Which is the money that is there in the city that flourishes in everything. It is not sufficient to make them happy. They are worrying about necessary upliftment of spirits. Out of money is not happening. They're complaining about it. The country rich people. The poet realizes next day that he can't do it. He can't relieve the pain of these people all of a sudden. Logic and poised state of mind, he realizes the futility of this thought. It's fruitless. I can't do it at once. And tries to put himself in the shoes of the farmer, poor peasant, and think of the immediate help offered. How will I take it if it is offered to me suddenly? How will I like it or not? Okay. So you see the alliteration, gallon of gas, then personification, the voice of the country, and repetition, country and pain are repeated twice in this stanza. So we understood the entire poem line by line over here and the message that has been conveyed in it. Although it was a long poem, it did not have much of the complicated things. It had an in-deep message in it. However, so it's a 56 lines divided into 6 stanzas, and with inconsistent rhyme scheme, you got to know not a free verse, but no consistent rhyme scheme throughout the poem either. So there's a great contrast between the comfortable life that the city dwellers are leading, contrasted with what? The harshness faced by the impoverished rural people. Then the tone of the poem is a mixture between complaining about the inequality of progress in the cities in contrast to the countryside or village people, plus the deeply sympathetic tone towards the life that the countryside people or the deprived people are leading. So these are the things, the message and the tone, the lines and the rhyme scheme that we learnt about, and we also got to know the entire poem line by line. I hope you understood everything, and if you have any doubts, you can come back to me anytime as we discuss about the whole thing in the sessions that follow. Until then, I'll see you all. Thank you.